Right men, let's inspect the underneath of this work in progress. Ooh, nice shiny petrol flap. Lots of shiny bits have arrived this week. Ooh, shiny bits. Front and rear bumpers, £1,000 or so. Nice wheels. Catch the first glimpse of the underside. This particular Stag has been stripped to a bare shell with heat rather than chemical dipping. So the underneath you can see just from the back here. So the underside of the body you can see is probably as neat as the outer side of the body. Richard there pointing to one of the cross members that they completely rebuilt because they were both rotten.
What somebody done this side was jacked it up.
I'll knock it. Yeah.
So all the body, all the panels repainted, all the components, suspension components,
Does it work?
all redone. Richard here rebuilt all the suspension, new bushes, new bolts. He's just put the engine in the last week or so. Everything looking ship shape. Dashboard originally beech on most of the models, but you can see this here has been converted to oak veneers. Probably about £700 for the set, something like that, which is all available. Some of the panels are quite difficult to find. The inner panels on the wings particularly being repaired. The outer wings you can actually still get. Bonnets and boots are somewhat of a problem on the Stags, trying to find good ones. It will have a soft top, of course, a new one, which can be trimmed by most people, just insert the frame. And of course they came with an optional hard top as well, so we'll follow this one. A few more pictures on this as it progresses, but coming together. Hopefully the engine now in situ with the, shall we say, different colour rocker covers, but these were actually original in that colour, being a factory prototype. So again, they've been reproduced. So all looking quite good. So following on from last week's video, somebody asked me for some of the pictures of the underneath of the Jensen and the air conditioning system, which I'll do in a short while. So working from the back, the spare wheel carrier now in place with a refurbished wheel carrier, which believe me was a struggle. You can see it has a full stainless steel exhaust, front to rear, and overhaul suspension. It also has, which if I spin round you might get a better view, is a new stainless steel fuel tank at the back. All new brake lines, which you'll see here through to the wheels. All the calipers refurbished, that's either rebuilt or refurbished. New fuel lines all the way through. All the underside has been repaired where necessary. It still has the original factory undercoat in many places. You can see, and we just added to that. It's stone chipped and then covered over, which makes it all look quite nice. A bit of touching up to do on the gearbox, where grubby hands from Richard have been working on this, and his brother Rob. They tend to be oily types. You can always tell if you go in the bathroom of which Rob's wife goes mad with his brother Richard, because he just leaves it like an oily rag instead of a hand towel. I think you'll know what I'm talking about. So all the front suspension calipers, they're all redone. You can see here we had to rebuild some of these because they were actually leaking. And then you just come around, get a look down the car, which you can see is actually looking rather nice. So Fenair, Pat Foster, nice gentleman, very well known in Jensen circles, has provided the aircon system, which is of his own design and making. Here you can see the compressor, which is specially done by Pat at Fenair, and the bracketry, again specially custom built by Pat to accommodate a new air conditioning system to update the Jensen's aircon, which, shall we say, is a little bit desired. The dryer there, and there'll be a new, in front of the fans, the condensing radiator for the aircon system. All linked to the original controls. So the original aircon controls have been refurbished, all the dials renewed. New modern stereo put in there, thanks to Romy Auto Sound in Peterborough for supplying that. So hopefully, I think we think it sounds quite good, but not really tested it yet because the door panels have not gone on. What you'll notice is that we actually incorporate a tweeter from the sound system into where the old ashtray went, which I thought was a nice touch to finish that off. So all the dials are upgraded to Smith's gauges because they're more reliable in terms of being more modern. Interesting little feature that I had done, I discovered that the badge makers in Birmingham, the original badge makers for Jensen and indeed Aston Martin, are still going today. So I had custom colours made for my Jensen badges, as you can see. They're very similar to Aston Martin colours. The car is actually an Aston Martin Sage Green. Also the nose cone badge done in exactly the same. So inlaid with Aston Martin Sage Green and the beige colours of Aston Martin. Jensen badges only came in the blue and the standard red. But it's a nice little custom touch that adds something a little bit different. I'm waiting for a front one in the same design, but until they do a batch of these, we probably won't get that. So yeah, again, and some little custom front fog lights, not standard, but just the wiring is there for the fog lights. So we've added the fog lights, just got to put the headlight surrounds in on one side. It's present on this side, you can see. But on the near side, still, it's just gone away for powder coating. That's the word I'm looking for. Again, not necessarily standard. The chrome wing mirrors, or shall we say door mirrors, rear view mirrors, these are actually Jaguar XJ parts and plinths. The same with the escutcheons that work the mirrors on the inside of the doors. So a lot of parts were swapped over between manufacturers in the 70s. So Jaguar and a lot of Triumph parts used by Jensen in the 70s. Standard on the Jensen Interceptor 4 dashboard would have been a rectangular instrument cluster. These are no longer available, so very difficult to find. As I was just saying, Triumph and Jaguar often swap parts around. So you'll see front and centre of the cluster here, a cluster from a Triumph Stag. Everything works on that, apart from we don't need the choke light being automatic. So I think we've converted that to use as a brake fluid level warning light, which works quite well. Everything else is relevant on those clocks and makes a good alternative to what was a problem for any Mark IV dashboard owners in trying to find or source that very rare instrument cluster in the rectangular shape. So hope you like that. Obtaining the wash whites, which is sometimes difficult because they are expensive, can be fragile also. But I've also added the front and rear fog light warning lights to show that they're on. These correlate to the original Lucas switches on the dashboard, front and rear fogs. Whilst on the subject of Jensens, here's an earlier model, not the FF or SP, but still a very nice car. Retrimmed recently. The front seat's been retrimmed by Bob Hammond in Peterborough, so a good job there. Different kind of dashboard layout, still automatic. Notice the different gear knob than the standard Mark II or 3 Jensen, or indeed 4. And the dashboard completely different in terms of the way that's orientated. Very much similar though in terms of the engine, all upgraded with parts like my own Jensen from Rob, who's done all the stainless and polished chrome and various other bits. So again, a car that's regularly used on the road, well known in club circles. So yeah, a very nice Mark I Jensen Interceptor.